It feels so good to be back. Big Brother Competition Hacks 3.0. Third time's the charm. Let's not waste any time. You guys know the drill. My name is Peridiam. Check out the previous vids if you want. Let's get on with the show. The first hack on this list literally inspired me to make this video. I loved it. I wanted to talk about it, and without it, I'm not sure this video would exist. Big Brother 23, the first week, the first power of veto competition of the season, where we saw the players compete in a comp called Massive Cocktails. The players were given 5 fruit-shaped pieces, and they had to assemble them on a ramp so that when a ball was dropped at the top, it would make its way down to the bottom and land in a tiny, comfy compartment. The catch was that the ball had to do a few things on its way down the ramp. It had to go through this ice tunnel, touch the lime, touch the banana, and then go through a second ice tunnel. You can arrange the 5 pieces that are given to you at the start of the comp that aren't already on the ramp any way you want, but those requirements that I just listed had to be met, and you couldn't move those particular pieces on the ramp. Like most hacks, the hack here is remarkably simple, but in the heat of the moment, it is not something everyone considers. At the start of the comp, 5 of the 6 players rush to the top of the ramp to start working on the top half of the puzzle. They figure they'll work their way down, given the ball has to start at the top of the ramp anyway. But one player does the opposite, and that makes all the difference. Derek X starts at the bottom, puts his pieces at the bottom of the ramp, and does so for one brilliant reason. He immediately realizes that because everyone has the same ramp and the same puzzle and the same pieces, and because 5 of his opponents are working on the top half, if he can solve the bottom half, all he needs to do is look at what the other 5 are doing for the top and mimic them. One of those 5 players will find him the answer. They're doing his work for him. So he tests the bottom half of the ramp and finds a solution that works, then goes to the top and notices everyone has the straw piece in place. Derek assumes that's the solution and begins to tweak his puzzle to navigate the ball through the obstacles. Nobody else seems to realize that Derek has already figured out what would work for the bottom half, but because he had 5 brains working to unintentionally help him solve the top, he won the competition pretty easily, and I love when people go against the grain and are clever with it.
I realized that they can just do the hard work for me by solving the top while I work on the bottom.
He was smart because he started from the beginning down there. Yeah. Everyone else went at the top.
Finally, it feels like I figured out the bottom and middle of my cocktail, so I'm gonna start moving upward. I look over to the right and I see Frenchie's straw at the top, so now I know that's probably the right answer.
Let's get the Peridiam.
Come on.
Oh, here we go, here we go.
Congratulations, Derek. You have won the Golden Power Veto.
Let's go! For the second creative strategy, let's dial it back a season to Big Brother 22 All-Stars 2 at part 2, a lot of 2s, of the final 3 HOH when there were only 3 people left in the game. This was a competition that saw Cody go against Enzo in a timed comp. The fastest player would win. The comp involved trivia and timing. Cody and Enzo had to answer a trivia question with giant head cutouts and then push 6 pig pendulums to the side, so when the guys pressed the button to lock in their answer, none of the pigs would be in the picture. They were camera hogs. Good one, producers. Slow clap. So Enzo really botches this competition to the point where I don't think Cody could have done worse if he tried, but he did try and he did excellently, and here we are. Enzo, if you're listening, I'm sorry, we gotta recap this. Enzo did 3 things horribly. The first one was major. He straight up misread the question and spent a long time getting the answer wrong because he thought the number 3 said 2. So he kept guessing 2 answers when the question wanted 3. But the other 2 things are something Cody utilized to great success. First off, Cody quickly noted that this was a comp about timing the pendulums, that is. So he ensured every pig on the left side of the balance beam swung in unison as he pushed them, and then same thing for the right side. This would give him enough time to find a window where none of them should be in the frame. The second thing he did was simple and not against the rules. Once Cody pushed all 6 camera hogs to the side and had them swinging, he would be at the end of the balance beam, and so, to save time, instead of going back across the beam the way he came, he just jumped off the beam and rushed to the stairs. It was totally acceptable, but Enzo didn't do it. You did have to walk across the beam to reach every hog on your way from the platform to the end of the beam, but you didn't have to walk back to reach the buzzer. Cody took note of that and destroyed this competition, and man, Enzo was crushed. That ain't it, yo.
I gotta make sure the timing of these swinging pigs is just right. So the 3 pigs that are hanging to the right of the balance beam, I send as far right as possible, and the 3 to the left, I send as far left as possible. This will make them swing in the same direction at the same time, leaving a huge open space down the middle for me to take a photo. I don't want to waste any more time by having to walk back on the beam and dodge the camera hogs the entire time. So I'm jumping off and taking the stairs, which will save me a lot of time.
Enzo, you finished with the time of... Cody, you finished with the time of...
Let's go. What do you do? 15 minutes? 13 minutes? Let's go.
The third creative strategy takes us to Big Brother Canada Season 1, and it's a pretty small maneuver, but it keeps the player alive and ultimately puts them in a position to win the power of veto. We're at the final 5, and this competition takes place in rounds. The first 3 players to complete the first obstacle advance to round 2, and then the final round, but the hack itself happens in round 1, so we're only going to be talking about that part. This competition involved the players taking a giant toothbrush and scrubbing some strange gunk off of these oversized teeth. The first 3 players to completely clean their teeth would move on. At the start of the comp, every player was doing what you would expect. They would brush their teeth like they would usually brush their teeth. Circular motions, but with a lot of pressure attempting to scrub this green grime off. It proved difficult and really exhausting. Peter, at one point, tried slamming his brush against his teeth and then snapped it. Whoops. But Andrew had an epiphany and changed his tactics from scrubbing to smacking, but not with as much force or frustration as Peter, but enough to where he realized that smacking the teeth would cause the grime to just fall off. So he smacked away, and then Emmett realized this strategy was working, so he did the same thing, and then both of them finished the round within seconds of each other. Andrew went on to win the power of veto in later rounds, but this tiny switch of strategy in the middle ensured he could at least beat that Canadian cowboy out of the gate.
The strategy is to go in a circular motion, as though I'm brushing my own teeth. But this plaque was on there hard, so after a while, I just started hitting it. Oh, no.
My epiphany comes when I start hitting the brush against the teeth and the plaque starts to break up. It just started to fall off, and I realized that I was really in the driver's seat in this competition.
And all of a sudden, in the corner of my ear, I hear Andrew banging on it. So I try that. As soon as I start banging on it, it starts speeding things up. It kind of loosens it up a bit.
Shit! I'm the first one done. Emmett is right behind me, but I beat him.
Also, I have a feeling Johnny Mac, the rockstar dentist, definitely wouldn't recommend this technique in real life. Don't try that at home, kids. You know what? Speaking of Johnny Mac, that reminds me of hack number 4. At the final 6 of Big Brother 17, we saw a power of veto competition unfold called Bowl Arena, where the players competed against each other head to head in a bowling competition while wearing tutus. And as we all know, almost any competition can be made better when players are dizzy and have no sense of balance, so that's the twist here. The players have to grip a handle and spin 15 times to lower their gate at the end of the bowling lane. They then will have 15 seconds to knock down 4 pins. The first player to knock their 4 pins down wins. But of course, after spinning a lot, it's difficult to make your way to your lane, let alone bowl accurately or even competently, also all while against another person. So 2 players pull off 2 different maneuvers that I want to mention because both work really well. The first is Austin. This guy does something we have never seen before or since in the 5 times this comp has existed, and that is when he gets on all 4s and rushes to his lane without much worry of being dizzy. Because a lot of players lose their balance and waste a lot of time, you only get 15 seconds for every 15 spins after all, so you gotta go fast. Well, Austin does. He's the only player to ever do this crawl, and he crushes the competition and basically renders the dizzying part moot.
Austin's just like some enraged gorilla just kind of moving along the ground there on his hands and knees. It's funny looking, but it's pretty cool to watch.
Austin wins the round. Austin wins!
Yeah! Judas is here, all of you. What? All of you be afraid. Heel turn.
The second strategy that I think it's easier for most of us, including myself, to do is the opposite of that. Johnny Mac decides, instead of going super fast and getting really dizzy, he's just gonna, take it slow. at his own pace. Because accuracy is really important, you can't win without it, he focuses on that part and decides to do what is called spotting to prevent himself from losing focus. This is a common technique you'll see ballerinas use when they pirouette. You keep your eyes locked on one location with every rotation. Combining that with taking it slow, Johnny Mac just pops over to his lane and knocks down every pin in one go. His gate never goes back up and he only misses one shot. There's just no time wasted here. It's the perfect style for a player like Johnny Mac, and it's actually something we've sort of seen before, like with Gina Marie on Big Brother 15, except she just wasn't particularly good at bowling in the first place, so it didn't matter. But we did see Mark on Big Brother 19 mimic Johnny Mac's style. He took it real slow and spotted and won the same comp with the fastest time.
Strategy when I'm spinning, I spin a little slower so that I can make sure I'm not so dizzy and make the balls that I roll count.
And Johnny Mac's the winner.
I'm gonna try to spin a little bit slower here. I'm hoping that me being less dizzy can help me focus on the pins. Baby!
Mark, you are safe this week.
This is the happiest that I've been in the house. Not only did I win, I mean, I smoked them.
And then lastly, the final hack on this list, the extra bonus one that needs to be mentioned because I know everyone wants me to bring it up, is less a particular hack for the competition and more just an insane amount of social hacking to reduce this competition to what it became. I'm of course talking about Paul on Big Brother 19 and the HOH running competition where they managed to convince the entire house to throw the comp to a woman with a broken leg. It sounds ridiculous on paper, it's even more ridiculous in motion. Basically, a woman named Christmas had a broken leg and she won a competition that involved running, sprinting, and being quick on your likely not broken feet. How did she do it? Well, it's less to do with the running part and more to do with the throwing part. Several days leading up to the competition, Paul, who was one of Christmas's allies, wanted to target two players, Alex and Jason, for eviction. Jason was the outgoing HOH, so he couldn't play in this running comp, and Paul didn't want Alex to win HOH because she would be safe and so would Jason. So how does Paul manage to prevent their target from being safe and having the HOH power? Paul convinced Alex that the house target was going to be Kevin, and that if Kevin were to drop out, Alex could then safely do the same and save herself in a future HOH comp in the next week. Alex agreed to that. It makes sense. Only if Kevin wasn't in the comp would she throw it. So Paul then goes to Kevin and convinced him Alex was the target, but he had to drop out to get her to drop out too. So Kevin agreed out of sheer loyalty. Paul then went to Raven, a player he wasn't as close to as Christmas, and convinced her to drop out of the comp only on the condition that Alex would be out first. So basically, if you're following along, Kevin's going to drop, followed by Alex, followed by Raven. All of Paul's ducks were in a row, and the rest was poetry in motion. The competition itself had players rushing to hit a button once the word go popped up on the screen. If you false started or were the last to push your button, once the word go appeared, you would be eliminated and the last player standing would win. So on cue, Kevin threw the comp, which then prompted Alex to throw the comp in the next round because she believed she had nothing to worry about, which then got Raven to throw the comp because Alex was now out and her target was Alex, which then meant Paul could throw the comp to either Christmas or Josh, their two closest allies. And then the cherry on top is Josh throwing the comp to Christmas because when else would a woman with one leg be able to win a physical competition, let alone all about running for HOH?
Then I could string up my puppets and make them have a little puppet show. Now that I've got everything set up where I need it, I just gotta make it happen.
First one part. Yes. I gotta be Christmas. I can't let it go and touch his baby. I can't.
Wait a minute. My whole plan hinges on Kevin?
Oop, my bad.
Ooh. All of these false starts are looking so obvious. And so I tell Josh to fall forward, trip on his face. I don't know, something.
What the hell? Christmas is the new head of household!
I literally can't believe that I pulled that off. I pretty much got the one-legged girl to win a foot race. I don't even have to make a joke.
And that's 5, or perhaps 6, times Big Brother players hacked competitions to get ahead. 3.0. You guys know I always enjoy making these vids, and there's plenty more to come, so if you enjoyed it too, feel free to subscribe and stick around. Let me know if there are any other cool creative little strategies that I may have missed or you want me to talk about. But otherwise, a huge thank you to my patrons for hopefully not hacking your way onto the screen. You know what I mean. A big thank you to everyone who's made it this far into the vid. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget, on your way out, to never lose focus, not even when surfing the YouTube algorithm. And I will see you in the next one once I finish watching this compilation of people falling over.
Uh-oh. Holy. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Take it slow. Take it slow. Are you okay?
I'm good.
Looks like me on Friday nights.
Whoa.
Woo! He's got to go through these couches, but he's falling over the couches. He's veering out of his lane.
Wow, I'm so dizzy. Whoa.
He starts to run and he's running like a drunken sailor, you know what I mean? Leaving the bar. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Is it not down?
Throw him underhand, Brandy. Brandy, throw him underhand. Oh, like a ballerina, like a...
I'm a mess. I'm a mess. It's like, and I wasn't even drinking. Champagne would have helped.
I'm dizzy.